Everyone, welcome to the last in our series of Maker Chats. It's part of the London Craft Week showcase. I am just going to dial in Richard, who is with me today. So, very pleased to say I have Richard Foote of R&A Collaborations, who is a wonderful filmmaker. He and his partner Aaron, R&A Collaborations, have edited the film. Hello, Richard. Have edited the film. Hello. There you go. I was just introducing you to say you and Aaron of R&A Collaborations edited this amazing film with the makers of the Design Nation showcase, the show reel you made for us. I've actually put on a filter today because it's Sunday. I can do that if I dial you up. So,
it's a lovely sunny Sunday evening. Nice to be with you, Fiona.
Yep. Lovely to see you. It's a beautiful sunny evening here in Cornwall. Just say I'm a hand maker and I'm a hand weaver based in Cornwall. I use a digital jacquard to weave my drawings. And Richard, you have got a love of craft, but you underneath it all, you're a photographer. That's what's kind of your starting point.
Yeah, I started off with my photography. I think I did a HND course back in the mid 2000s, part time and stuff. And yeah, I'd always been interested in photography, but I did more of the sort of darkroom work and stuff. But this is one of the photographs that sort of started me off in black and white architecture photography. So that's a corner of a factory in Wolverhampton. But yeah, I did a whole load of sort of black and white photography using film and red filters and stuff to really boost the contrast up, and that's where my photography sort of started, and developing a sort of style with that. And my little claim to fame is that one of my photographs of Shrewsbury Theatre, sort of in the same style, was used as a prop in the film Inception. So there's a scene in that film where Leonardo DiCaprio and Cillian Murphy are having a conversation in the hotel bathroom, and my photograph is not only in the background, but it's reflected in the mirror, so it's there twice.
Oh, I'm gonna definitely watch the film now. Yeah. I'm really interested. I was saying, like, I was just when you mentioned it before in our little pre-chat there, I was thinking, I looked it up and I was like, dreams. Yeah, I had the most amazing dreams last night for some reason, and I don't even think it's a full moon. So yeah, it was a fantastic film. I'm gonna have to see it again. It was really stylish, wasn't it, as well? Sort of the way it was. Done.
Yeah, I think I watched it about 3 or 4 times. I haven't seen it actually for a long time. I should probably revisit it and remind myself.
Yeah, it's the sort of film that you can watch over and again anyway, isn't it? Kind of for your mindset. Have you got a favourite film?
Have I got a favourite? Yes, I have. It's Gentlemen Broncos, which is a bizarre, slightly I keep mentioning it to people and no one has any idea what it is. Never. But it's about a sci-fi writers club, and there's a lad in it who writes a novel, and then it gets stolen by a sci-fi writer and then adapted. He basically steals his idea, but it's got Jermaine Clement in it from the Flight of Conchords. I love it. Everyone needs to watch it.
I've written it down. So how did you get from the still photography to the moving film?
So it sort of came about by accident, really. I'd never done any moving image before meeting Aaron, and then I think I did a couple of workshops with him early on. But then, came through an opportunity through my sister, who's a woven textile designer, who I know was at the Royal College with you many years ago.
No, that's how. For those of you, I knew Richard from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Helen
from the RCA balcony and cafe, mostly. But she makes amazing scarves and stuff. Yeah. She's just had her second child, so she probably won't be doing any weaving for a little while. But she is going to do a show in November near to her in Malvern. But she managed to get a piece of fabric woven just before she had a willow a month ago or whatever.
Right.
So we'll be getting out there a little bit. But Yeah, so she did the Hot House scheme after leaving the RCA, and then in 2011, an opportunity came up to like submit films to the Power of Making exhibition at the V&A,
Right.
and so yeah, me and Aaron and Helen, we sort of came up with a plan. Can we get a film made of Helen? I think it had to be like 2 minutes long or something, and I can't remember. Yeah, there was some other sort of stipulations on it, but they all got uploaded to Vimeo, and then they were selected from a shortlist. I think it was like 200 entries, and then they picked 40. And we'd also made a film of a local stained glass artist as well. So
Right.
they managed to pick both of them, and so the first film that we've made got picked to be screened as part of the Power of Making exhibition, and then the rest is history.
Straight in at the top, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. It was picked too soon.
Yeah, I remember Helen's film, and it was brilliant, and it really sort of started a whole like flow, didn't it? Almost a genre of craft films, and you two have kind of become the experts of it, really.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly picked our niche, and I think we picked it well. It's funny how sort of things happen in life, and I could never have imagined doing it, having not had that opportunity. It was not something that I was sort of looking at doing. I'd sort of, I'd helped Helen set up a few shows, and then sort of been to the RCA when she was there. So I sort of was starting to get familiar with sort of at least textiles, if not other crafts and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think we sort of started off just doing a few films locally with friends who were sort of makers or artists and stuff, and then it gradually built up. I think took a few years for our portfolio to build and people to get to know us and stuff. But our sort of later films, because there was definitely some experimentation in the first few years of trying different things out and stuff. But we've sort of our process is refined because we shoot all of our films using bursts of still images rather than video, and so that has a certain aesthetic to it, which is it reduces the amount of footage that we get by a lot because we shoot for very specific moments rather than taking a whole load of stuff and then working out which bits to cut out and stuff. So so it's a different sort of style of it, but a lot of what we're interested in really is getting the story out of people of why they make and what their passions are of materials and sort of inspiration and stuff. And so one of the sort of advantages of that has been we're not sticking the camera in someone's face and getting them to talk. It's very much like we're watching them work, and then we interview them separately with a microphone. And so there's a lot of films out there of makers being interviewed face to face kind of thing, and they all look scared of being looked at by the camera.
It's really nerve-wracking, isn't it? I mean, I think I got over that being in front of the camera because I teach at Falmouth, and when the pandemic hit, everything had to go online, and we had to video ourselves and do all the lectures that we had done face-to-face online. So I had to listen to myself, and it was horrible. I had to see myself, and now I've got a filter on today, but you can't do that normally on the things that you do. So you're really... definitely listening to your own voice, because I have to listen to mine occasionally, and it's like, oh, it sounds really weird. But I think, Aaron, because I'm actually doing the course with you and Aaron at the moment, which is 4-week course with Cultivator and Design Nation, which is really brilliant. And Aaron said, well, you hear yourself differently, but everyone else hears you how you'll be on the video. So if they started hearing you like you hear yourself inside your head, it would be weird for them. So you don't want that. You're the only one that hears your voice in that way. You're through the air and through your bones and skin. And so it's a strange experience. I think one of the noticeable things, especially with making the film with Design Nation for London Craft Week, is obviously we've had to set people off to video themselves, and I know that's been quite a big issue for people, because it's one thing to be interviewed by somebody to a camera, but being asked questions is a thing to stare at a camera and sort of think about what you want to say at the same time. It's a whole different thing. So that's been an interesting sort of thing that we've had to sort of try and work out. I just imagined there was someone in my studio and I was talking to them. I was just imagining if someone had come into my studio and asked me those questions, or if I was explaining it, what would I say? But it's still kind of artificial, isn't it? It's quite. So I mean, you must have got into so many interesting studios. I mean, it's like we're like looking in someone's sketchbook or visiting someone's studio. It's really like, it's really exciting, isn't it? So
Yeah,
you've
yeah, yeah. I
really
mean,
been in there.
I think you know, I couldn't have imagined another job where I would have been to so many like weird and wonderful places, like from people's garden sheds to sort of like, I mean, we did a project with the Institute of Making at one point where we had to go over to the Netherlands to film in a sort of material science laboratory
Had to go to the Netherlands.
And it was funny. It was like,
I think it was the old Philips factory it was based at, but it was like there was a sign as you went in and saying like this was the highest IQ in a square mile in Europe. It was like full of really like academic science people.
No pressure.
But yeah, we went in one lab where we had to all get suited and booted. So you know.
Wow.
So yeah, and all sorts of weird and wonderful places. We've been in the bowels of the British Museum and the Bose Museum in Northumberland and seen all sorts of things. But
how many films have you made together?
I've lost count, to be honest with you. It must be several hundred by now. It's you know, we've been doing it for 10 years and stuff. So yeah, there must be good couple of hundred films. Because yeah, we've got our films on YouTube and Vimeo. I know that because we've done at least 4 years worth of kind of workshops with students at Farnham up until a few years ago, and so there's quite a lot of their films on our Vimeo channel. So that pushes the number up a bit, but still, there's quite a lot to watch of all different disciplines. It's been truly fascinating to sort of, you know, get to see people making, you know, such different work, whether it's ceramics, jewellery, you know. I've made film in a hot shop in a glass blowing studio, which was kind of, you had to kind of dance around what everyone else is doing, and you know, there's bits of like molten glass going quite close to you. It's quite
dangerous. I mean, that's one of the questions I was asking people before, you know, in their studios. I think one person in that film's got a plaster on their finger at some point, just this one little snippet. And I was my other jewelry friend, you know, who's on Instagram has stories, and she's always saying this, like, you know, jewelers will always burn themselves doing this, and you know, you can just imagine. But you've got quite a nice little collection of ceramics, I noticed. Like when you go to events, you do have a bit of a thing like buying up.
Behind me.
Yeah, and I've been up to Great Northern yesterday, so I've added to my collection. I don't know, I did try this earlier on. I don't know how well this is going to show up, but I bought a little Lucy Baxendale monster planter, which she did for, I think, an exhibition. This is a full size one to get the scale, but she'd done an exhibition to sort of, I think it was something to do with dolls' houses, so she'd made like miniature versions of all her pieces and stuff. So it's like, ooh, I've got to have this one. It's gold.
It's so fun. I mean, it's so tiny though. It's so intricate, that work.
Yeah, yes. The little toes on it are like so tiny. I mean, yeah, it's hard to, I don't think my camera picked up.
I've got that's good. Yeah, that gives you an idea. Yeah, I've got the chat on the screen, so it's hard to see it, but yeah. But
yeah, I've got quite a lot of different ceramics. I've got some other, you know, I've got wood-toed vessels and glass pieces as well, and a few other bits and bobs. But yeah, it is mostly ceramics that I tend to find.
Have you had to go at making yourself ceramics, or?
I have, yes. I did in fact, with Lucy Baxendale, I did a course a few years ago, sort of access to ceramics course, because I've been wanting to have a go for ages. So I did a bit of throwing and stuff, but I made a teapot whilst I was there.
I love that teapot. I love it.
Yeah, so that was one of the pieces I made, and I also made using my modelling sort of stuff. I made a scale model of my house that I live in. So it's not quite accurate measurements, but it's sort of roughly right.
It's the spirit of the house.
The spirit there, it's got character. But yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I definitely want to do some more throwing when I get a chance. But and I did a silversmithing workshop quite a few years ago now. So I've had a go at raising a bowl. It's a bit tarnished now, but I forged a spoon. I did enjoy that. I liked planishing the metal. It's sort of one of those sort of almost therapeutic sort of processes, just like hammering metal and getting it.
Yeah.
It was really enjoyed that.
Have you ever had to go at weave then?
Do you know what? No, because mostly Ellen do
And you
it,
don't
and
want to?
there's something about the only textiles that I've tried and actually feel like I can enjoy this is gold work embroidery that I've done with a friend, Hanny.
Right.
Weaving and knitting, I just cannot get my head around how it works. I know Aaron's had a go at weaving and stuff a few times,
Right.
but yeah, it's not my mindset. I think I'm much more like, yeah, hammering metal or kind of almost manipulating materials with my hands rather than having to like think about how it needs to be constructed beforehand.
Right.
I mean, threading
So
and just getting the sort of I can't get any rhythm with anything. Like with knitting, I can even cast off.
Right. So it wouldn't be any. If someone set the warp up for you, would you enjoy weaving that, or maybe not?
Maybe. Yeah, they have to throw in the shuttle across and stuff, maybe. But yeah, all the sort of setup for it.
It's just the coordination, like the head. And
yeah, that's it. I'm not really good at that, but yeah.
Give me some tools to like chisel the wood or bash the metal. I'm all over that.
But you do.
I think it's partly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Seeing on your Instagram, you do quite sort of fine making though, the model making.
Yeah, I do. I made model planes when I was younger and stuff, and then got back into that probably about 4 years ago now. And so yeah, I guess almost like plastic is the material I tend to use for that, and a bit of resin and stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed that. I think the act of making with your hands is really important, even if it's not necessarily for your career. As a sort of yeah, almost as a therapeutic thing. Yeah. I think it's just nice to be able to have something where you can make whatever it is. So that's really important to me. And I mean, I've always been slightly obsessive about planes and stuff. So trouble is, I think
my family are going to these air shows and things now, but where I live on the edge of the moors, every Tuesday night the army drop off the soldiers, I think, on the moor, and then they have to hide them for 48 hours or whatever it is. But they every Tuesday night you get these big Chinooks coming over, dropping them off, and then also you get the on a clear day you get the fighter jets obviously going to Land's End, so they zoom past us, and sometimes it's so low it's absolutely terrifying. You really think they've misjudged it, you know.
Yeah, I love all that sort of stuff. Come and hang out with you and go plane spotting.
yeah, definitely. So is there anyone you haven't filmed who you'd like to film? Anything?
I mean,
any ambitions
so many.
to film?
There's so many. I think actually just from the film that we made from Design Nation, I think, because I hadn't really realised Samantha Sweet's process until I'd seen the footage that she sent me, and her like setup with her lathe and stuff was like, you know, I didn't know exactly how she made before. I assumed it was just traditional blowing or whatever, but having seen that machine, it's like, oh, I want to sort of like watch her do that and get in close and get, because it feels quite controlled in terms of the space. So I think get some really nice shots with that, because basically anything with fire or sparks or molten things just looks really nice with our process. So yeah, I think her process looks really, really good as a thing to film. So she's up there definitely. But yeah, there's so many people that, you know, new people that I keep seeing and different types of work and stuff. So yeah, it feels like there's an endless amount of people that that is out there that would be nice to film at some point.
and sticking with craft for now.
I think so. Yeah, we've made a few films for different things. There's a friend of ours makes raw chocolate. We made a film for him a few years ago, which is really good raw chocolate, by the way. And then a couple of visual artists as well. But yeah, I think generally speaking, like the craft world is such a nice environment to work in. Everyone's lovely, everyone's humble, just really skilled, great to just, you know, get more, you know, hopefully try and get across their story, which I know for a lot of people is not always easy to get across. But yeah, so I think definitely for the time being, craft is where it's at.
Super. I mean, it's been really lovely for me doing this series of talks as well, because it would be great to be in a physical exhibition, and then you would rub shoulders with people and you would chat to people at a private view and the rest of it. So when it's online, it's quite tricky. So I organised a private view for another exhibition I was in, and I just dialed up these artists and said, do you want to come to my private view? And it was lovely, and they all came from their studio, and you got to see what their work, and they gave a little show around. It was really nice. So yeah, it's a real, and I think Design Nation's a real community of people. It feels like a family, you know. It's really supportive in that way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been really nice working with Design Nation over the last sort of year or so, and getting to know more of the makers, because we knew some of them before, but yeah, I think what they've got going with sort of regional networks and stuff, it does feel like there's a really good supportive community, and that kind of feels similar to lots of other, you know, organisations and just people who live in similar areas. There is a good support, I think, between each, you know, different makers and stuff. Yeah. So it's a nice community generally, but yeah, Design Nation is definitely, you know, doing a good job, I think.
Yeah. And I think the regional clusters are nice because each one has its own identity. So in Cornwall, I don't know, we know maybe 15 of us, or, you know, not that many, whereas London, there's sort of 57 or something, you know, there are a lot of them there. And I think then each area can choose what it wants to do. So Cornwall, we all sort of said, we want to exhibit, we want to get our work out there, we want to get our work, you know, on show in Cornwall and elsewhere. So that really sort of, we all boosted ourselves, and we all gave ourselves, you know, there was a lot of exchange and support during lockdown, which was really nice. And we managed to exhibit in Truro, and we'd never even met each other. We'd never met as a group, and some of us had never met each other face to face. It was just so strange, but it felt really, you know, really supportive.
Yeah, it's been a funny time, isn't it? Because like there's been so many people that I've got to know through Zoom over the last couple of years, and it's really nice when you actually get to meet them, because you kind of know them at some level.
You do.
When
you see them. Yeah, when you see them, like, oh, you look really familiar.
That's it. You've got legs.
yeah. Oh, you're not wearing pajamas. Let's see what other questions I've got. So what's your week look like generally? Do you work a 9 to 5? Do you work every day of the week? Do you have good time off? Or?
It's sort of, I think for anyone who's self-employed, there is no real set week as such. I mean, unless you've got other stuff going on as well. But yeah, my weeks vary so much. It's sort of, it depends what we've got on, really. It can go from like ridiculously busy to like absolutely nothing. So certainly the last couple of years have been like very up and down. There's been times where, like, I think this time last year I was helping with stuff to do with the Digital Craft Festival. I think we were starting the first sort of Design Nation course at that sort of time, and then we ended up doing a similar thing to the London Craft Week, but for Top Drawer just before Christmas and stuff. And then there was quite a long period of nothing much. So yeah, it has been quite varied. But you know, previous to that, we could be travelling around the country for a few weeks, and then be editing for a few weeks, and so yeah, it's very variable.
And do you split the work between you? Is there one that you because I picked that photo of you with the cows. I thought it was lovely there. do you do the behind the camera stuff, and Aaron does the interviewing and the editing?
Yeah,
do you mix at all?
So I'm generally behind the camera taking the images. Aaron tends to do the interview mostly. He makes the music for the films as well, and then we both do bits of the editing. So we take it in turns and sit next to each other and work through it, because it's quite a time-consuming process, because we probably end up with like 20 odd minutes of footage to look at, and then probably about 40 minutes or so of interview to work out, and so it's dissecting the story out of that, and sort of taking out any of the sort of ums and ahs and all that sort of thing, and you know, gaps and then whoever's interviewing, well, mostly Aaron, but we've got to take all that out as well. So there's a lot of having to re-listen to stuff all the time, and sort of crunch it down basically. Till we get.
Is it quite easy to find the story usually? Do you the two of you work well as a team and say, you know, I think this is how we should?
I think it varies. Some people's comes together really easily and it's like really straightforward, and other people's it's like it's a bit more complicated and it takes a bit of bit of like, yeah, you kind of have to come away from it sometimes a bit and then go back to it, because it's sort of, yeah, it's a weirdly tiring experience to like be sat at the computer and like constantly listening. You have to really like, the concentration is like, sometimes you go to bits trying to work it out, and then you've like got distracted and you're staring out the window and you're not even listening to what's being said. It's like, oh no, I've got to start again now. It's such a weird experience, but yeah, it's sort of, I think the more we've done it, the better we've got at sort of working out what the important bits are, I think, because it's interesting. It's like, obviously lots of the makers will not recognize the things that are interesting about their work because it's so day to day. But for anyone else who, you know, it's almost like you're getting a studio to give to people without them having to physically come to you. And so, you know, anyone like doing open studios, people will be able to visit and see what's going on. And this is sort of a similar kind of thing. So to sort of, the sort of mundane, seemingly mundane to the maker anyway, is actually quite interesting to anyone else. And so we try and, I think partly because we're outsiders a little bit and we're not makers ourselves as such, we can see that sort of stuff more than the maker.
I mean, it sounds so creative what you do though. I mean, there's so many echoes with my process, you know, when I do have to sort of step back and sleep on something or pretend I'm looking at it with someone's eyes, or as Valerie was saying in one of the talks, get the viewfinder or show yourself the work in the mirror, or, you know, you just have to step back and think again. So it sounds really creative what you do. And I think it's also really generous that you do the workshops, because you're giving us makers, you know, tips of how to do it ourselves, which is really generous.
Well, I think partly that's come through the circumstance of what, you know, the situation we've all been in for the last couple of years and stuff. But I'd imagine that a lot of people will go on, oh, it's not for me, that's not my cup of tea, and sort of realise, you know, it's more difficult than it actually looks. I mean, I think people are good at videoing stuff that they're doing, but it's that process of getting the story across which is the tricky bit, and it's really hard to do if you're trying to do it yourself. It does take someone else to come in and really sort of analyze you more so than you're doing it yourself. It's a different experience. But yeah, I think it's been nice to do the workshops and stuff, and you know, I think it's helped people get better at doing stuff themselves on a, you know, lower budget and with whatever they've got available to hand and stuff. So
I think that's
actually yesterday when I was at Manchester, who'd been on our first course, I think last year, and they were sort of, you know, I hadn't met them before in person, so it was kind of like having to remember who were they? Oh, they were on the course. And then they were sort of pleased about it, and they were sort of saying how they've then giving tips to other people having learned the stuff from us. So it sort of feels like it's down quite nice.
But it won't ever do you out of a job, I don't think. You know, I think if you know, when I get successful from, you know, the videos that you're helping me do, because I'm halfway through your course, once I've got those and I start selling work, then I'm going to invite you down to do a nice film actually. So it'll work in your favor. If there was one tip you could give to sort of designer makers making films of themselves in their studios, is there one tip that would sort of lift things, that would help them?
That's good. Tip. I don't know. I think just play around and experiment. I think, but yeah, I think it depends what you're doing. I think if you want to sort of if you hang on, I think just experiment.
I'm just going to shut the window. It's going to come in if I don't do this. I'm just going to shut them.
All right. Not in your studio, is it?
Pigeon coming in the Velux, I think. Yeah, I can hear it tapping along the roof, rattling on the glass. Sorry, Richard. You were saying.
So I think just experiment really and see what you can do with what equipment you've got. I think the more you try and focus in on one thing, probably the more frustrated you'll get when it's not going right. But I think just play around. I think, you know, largely a lot of the, like, because I'd never come I'd never done any like editing or anything before I get onto this. I sort of learnt it by doing it, and I think that's the most important thing, is to like just learn as you go along, and you know, see what things work for you, because not everything that anyone's suggesting you to do is going to work for you. It really depends on your you know, what you want to get out of it and stuff. So yeah, I don't really know how to answer that, but yeah, just experiment.
No, that sounds great. That sounds really great. And I guess, you know, and experiment, and don't be afraid to get it wrong, I suppose, because, you know, at the beginning,
there is no wrong.
You're always going to look back and go, "Ooh, I've done that better," you know, and then maybe not that many people will see it when you start putting them out there anyway. So, you know, you can always take
exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, as long as what you're filming is in focus, and you know, you can see what's going on, then there's not really, I mean, no one's expecting you to be like a master cameraman immediately. That's not going to happen. But yeah, just
brilliant.
do the best.
That's really inspiring. Now, I've got a list of quick fire questions, and I think you've seen me do them with the other makers. So we might just, as we've got, you know, we'll just finish off, because we've gone up to the half hour already, I think. So we'll just quick fire some here, and you can always pass. If you don't like me, you can pass. Day or night? I should say this comes from the Poet Laureate in his shed interviewing people, a radio series on BBC Radio 4 that Valerie put me onto. So they were her. So day or night?
Day, because I wouldn't be able to film anything at night. Not easily. Light again, I think, probably. Light.
So I'm guessing summer or winter?
I'm going to be subversive and say spring.
Whoa, okay, you can do that. Flying or floating?
Flying, I think. Yeah.
Town or
I
country?
think I did want to be a pilot when I was younger, but it never happened. Sorry, carry on.
Town or country?
I don't know. I luckily live somewhere.
If you want to.
Quick, country. Country.
Okay, dancing or dreaming?
I'm probably a bit of a dreamer, I'd say, but I do like dancing as well.
Past or future?
Future.
I think everyone's gone with that one. We're all trying to be positive, I think.
Okay. Right.
Train or boat? I think there's a bit of a delay actually here.
There is
train or boat?
Train, I'd say. Yeah.
Dog or cat?
Probably dog. Not that I'm fussed about either particularly, but dog probably more than cat.
Giraffe or cow?
Or giraffe. It's more interesting. It's one behind you.
Poem or novel?
Novel probably, but I'm not a big reader. But novel probably.
Picasso or Da Vinci?
I'm going to say Picasso, because I've got a relative who I know has been in the same room as him.
Whoa.
But that's a whole different story.
That's another half hour. We'll do another one on that, definitely. Stonehenge or pyramid?
I'll say Stonehenge.
Fire or water?
Fire.
Turner or Constable?
Turner.
I think everyone said Turner so far. And we'll finish off with owl or nightingale?
Owl, definitely. Yeah. Love an owl.
I think everyone said owl as well.
Right.
Brilliant. It's really lovely talking to you, Richard. Really nice. And I should say that But the R&A Collaborations film, the show reel for Design Nation London Craft Week, is can be found on Vimeo if you search Design Nation. But it's also on the Design Nation website, and it's designnationshowcase.co.uk /LCW21, which is London Craft Week 21, and then film events. So that's where it can be found. And we'll be saving this talk, if Richard agrees. We shall put it on my IGTV and share it. So Linda the Potter's there. Hello, Linda. She says, thank you. Well, it's been absolute fun doing this week. And I know you've asked some good questions as you went along there, Richard, as well, like during the week. So that was really lovely. So a big thank you to you for making London Craft Week, you know, really great for us Design Nation makers. And thank you to everyone for listening to the series. So brilliant.
Excellent.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Right. Bye for now. Bye.